Oh boy, howdy. That's right, folks. It's time for an advertisement on the TV yet again. It's the most let's sing that again. It's the most depressing time of the week. That's right. We're back again with The Depression Chamber, the only show on YouTube where anybody on Earth can submit their stories dealing with depression, anxiety, dating, really just anybody who's alive in America today qualifies to write a story. And we sit here, we read the stories out loud, and then we all laugh, usually. That's right. We've got Flowey the Flower hanging out in the chat. He's now a mod after his great story last week. I should say I'm feeling a tad sleepy today, so I made myself a big black tea, BBT. We all love to see it go right in my mouth. But I think caffeine does not work on me, and in fact, most of the time caffeine makes me even more sleepy, and I thought, well, that's strange. So I gave it the old Google search, and it said that is a symptom of ADHD. It would explain a lot if that were true. It truly would. But I feel like I've taken every mental illness test known to man on YouTube in front of, hundreds of thousands of people. Or hundreds or thousands, not hundreds of. And it said I didn't have that. So maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe my brain's broken. Martyr Loser King says, my daughter, who I got sober for, hates me. I was going to give her $100 for her vacation. She's leaving tomorrow. She wouldn't take it, so here's $5. Hey, thank you, Martyr Loser King. If I recall, you usually have very rude things to say in the comments section, so I'm actually shocked by your generosity. But we are here again, 2 weeks in a row. I thought, even if I am a sleepy boy who will underperform, these people have such low expectations of me. They'll be so happy I even showed up 2 weeks in a row, so this should be good enough. Don't self-diagnose. I'm trying not to. The front page of Google maybe is not the best source for any medical information, but play chips challenge instead, good idea. We should do that instead. Turn down the background music a little? Sure. You know what? Sure. If you say so, buddy. How's that? I lowered it 1.5 decibels for you. Yeah, Patchy, my brother, is married now. He's hanging out in the chat. I guess my sister-in-law, his wife, let me borrow her PS5 this last week, and I got to play the new Ratchet and Clank game, and give it one big thumb up. Good game. Brought me back to being a kid playing Up Your Arsenal and Deadlocked. But enough about me and my exciting life playing a video game. We have some Depression Chamber stories to read today, and last week somebody donated so that we would read his story called How I Became Known as the Molester, and he paid like $10, so I guess we will begin with that story. Now that everybody's, getting up in here, we can really start. Patchy life game when? I think Patchy will be on the Treehouse sometime this summer, and we do want to do an Is It Kino on his favorite movie. Anyway, here is how I became known as the Molester. That he put it in quotes. I don't know how to start this, but you probably won't even read it, so I guess I'll just start. Okay, just to begin. Just to be clear, you paid me to read this, so it seems a little disingenuous to begin the story in that way. It's definitely a copy pasta. Every single story is, my friend, all of them. So at my high school, we have an hour lunch where we can just talk or walk around and do nothing, and my friend group and I would always pass these 3 people, Heather, Angela, and Cameron. Cameron and Heather are dating. These 3 people were the emo, goth, alt people, but they were the hot kind. But anyway, what is this, a fucking Florian and Biggs story? But anyway, me and my guy best friend James found out that my girl best friend Emma liked Angela. Okay, we got a lot of names to juggle so far. Then on Halloween, I was handing out candy with my friends and I saw the three, and later I decided to ask Emma if I could message them and tell Heather and Cameron that you like Angela. Emma said I could, so I sent a picture of Emma on Instagram and said, my friend like Angela. This shit is already too stupid even for me. They responded and then added Angela and Emma to the group chat. So we talked in the group chat for days and I helped Emma get closer to Angela. I became really good friends with them. And for some context, the three and I all had very pervy senses of humor, so we would always joke about fucking each other. And at some point, Cameron, who is a trans guy, sent me titty pics, so we were all pretty close. Eventually, Emma and Angela started to date, and I was talking to them more than my group of friends, and would walk around with them instead of my group during lunch. So my friends, being really homophobic and transphobic, start saying I'm gay and call me a faggot and shit like that. I still eat lunch with them and talk to them in class, but after I eat, I leave to go with the others, and I never message or play games with my group anymore. So that's how it was until December 3rd, when Heather rides me and Cameron's bus, rides me and Cameron's bus to go to Cameron's house. Since Cameron lives in the same plane as me, what the fuck does that mean? Heather decides her and Cameron should walk to my house. I let them and am really excited about it. So when they get to my house, I show them around my house. Do you guys proofread fucking anything ever in your whole life? Just fucking read through it once before you make me read it, please. And then we play cards again. No, we play Card Against Humanity, only one card, and talk for and little. Then we go back to the living room and talk and watch TV. I was really paranoid about my parents coming home, even though I don't have strict parents. I didn't want to have to introduce them to my parents. So at one point, I thought I saw a something, so I step outside to see if my parents are home, but they aren't. And when I come back inside, Cameron and Heather stop talk and look at me. And Cameron says, well, now we have to do it. And I was confused. Then Cameron says, we are gonna show you our tits. R spelled A-R-E. And I get a little confused and excited and say, are you sure? Because I don't want to make you guys uncomfortable. Then Cameron steps in front of me and lifts his hoodie up, showing me his tits, and he lets me grab them and play with them. Okay. Feel like you might be misgendering Cameron here, but wait, no, it's a trans guy, so this is a man with female tits. Okay, I was confused for a hot second there. Then Heather also flashes her tits, and I'm really happy because I'm a virgin loser and have never seen tits IRL before. Then after that, we all sit on the couch together. Then Heather moves to another couch, and me and Cameron sit up together. I put my arm around him, and I grabbed his tit and grope him. He puts his head back on my shoulder, and I put my face to his neck. Then I say, let me know when you want me to stop. What? I put my face... Oh, okay. For a second, my stupid sleepy brain thought he was putting his knee to his neck, George Floyd style, and I was like, wait, that's how you make out? What's going on? But no, that's just me being stupid. Let me know when you want me to stop. I keep doing that for a few minutes while talking to Heather and Cameron. Then Cameron gets up and sits with Heather, and we keep talking and watching TV until I get too tired and say, I'm tired and I don't know when my parents are coming home, so I think you guys should leave. Then I hug them and say goodbye, and Heather says next time Angela has to be here. And then I feel great and go to bed. Then the day after, around noon, I get a message from Angela saying Cameron feels dirty after what I did and that I sexually assaulted him. She said I kept going even when he told me to stop, which didn't happen. Then she said he felt small around me and was too scared to say anything. So I feel completely awful for the rest of the day. Then the day after, everyone leaves the group chat. And I ask Angela, since everyone left the group chat, does that mean you guys don't want to talk to me ever? She says, bingo. That's a bingo. That's right. And I then type out a long apology to Heather because Cameron doesn't want to speak to me. And she says, I will never in my life accept your apology, except spelled E-X-C-E-P-T. And you deserve to feel the way you do. What you did is one of the worst things a person can do. Please never talk to me again. Then, like a retard, I decide to tell my group what I did, and James messages Emma asking what she thinks about what I did, and she said, not good. Then at midnight, Heather messages me asking why I told people about what happened, and I said I can't handle this alone. Then she says, if you need to handle it with anyone, I will file a police report and you can handle it with them. Oh, that's a real girl boss moment, hashtag. Then she lists of what could happen to me if I get charges and ends it with, I don't want you to be a legally registered sex offender, so please keep your mouth shut. So my life for the past month has been mean, sitting in my room in the dark, barely eating or drinking, looking at pictures of us crying while contemplating suicide. And every time I see them in school, I feel sick to my stomach and look away. So to sum it all up, no one talks to me outside of school, and I think about what I could have done different and how to kill myself with the least amount of pain, because all I want is to be friends with Angela, Heather, Cameron, and Emma again, which will never happen no matter how hard I try. And then we have something that says, update. So after I sent this, a bunch of shit happened. It was all in the same email. I don't even know what you're talking about. A bunch of shit happened, but I'm no longer depressed, but I will continue the story. Okay, good. So my new best friend, Juan, is the only one of my friends I can have a real serious conversation with. So I talk to him about the situation a lot. And at one point, I ask him to pretend like he didn't know what happened and go up them and say something like, did you have a fight with him or something? He did that, and just told him that he shouldn't be friends with me anymore. Then later, Cameron snaps him and tell him that I sexually assaulted him. Juan and Cameron would periodically snap each other while Juan pretended to hate me. Then he tells me that Cameron said they went to the police and filed a report. I freak out and he tries to make me feel better by saying he thinks they're lying because I was saying if the police were involved, I would kill myself. But in mid-January, my dad asked me why he got a message from the police department about me. So I freak out but tell him the whole story. He's super pissed. Okay. Super pissed at them and thinks I did nothing wrong. That's right. Then the next day I go to the police station and give my statement, and the police officer involved in the case doesn't think I did anything wrong. Then a few weeks later, my dad tells me that they chose not to press charges. Later, me and my friends, Juan and James, are in the library, and Angela, Heather, and Cameron walk in. We see Heather is holding a bunch of tampons, and they get the genius idea to go up to them and say, can I please have a tampon? My bussy eye bleeding severely. They say no. But later, Cameron snaps Juan, saying that if anyone associated with me comes up to them, they will go to the officer running the case. Then later we find out that Heather and Cameron broke up near the end of the school year, so I'm pretty happy about that since I'll never see Cameron again since he was a senior and he'll probably 41% himself. Since all this stuff happened, all my friends love to call me the molester or rapist, and I will never live it down. But whatever, I didn't kill myself, and that's the story. I know that the bread and butter of the Depression Chamber is literally 14-year-old retards and dipshits, but man, it takes a lot out of me to read something like this. It's rough, but I think this is what people tune in for. Whatever, man. I'm gonna catch up on the super chats and then I'll see what the chat has to say about that story. What's today's date? The 20th. Okay. Flowey donated to say, PSA, you all should use Streamlabs for donations. Super chats have character limits based on how much you donate, and Streamlabs doesn't. Plus, Streamlabs donations are harder to miss, and Mumkey gets all of the donation instead of YouTube taking half. Thank you, Flowey. Yeah, I don't like Susan taking any money, but whatever. Flowey then donates to say that $1 donation I just sent would have costed $50 if I'd done it through Super Chat. No, I don't think that's true. Save yourselves the cash. Super chats are a ripoff and a scam, and Mumkey doesn't even get half. Okay. Yeah, okay, we got that. Was there a super chat? Oh, there's a bunch. Okay. Twizzy says, bro, I'm too stoned for all these names. Yeah, welcome to my world. Jacob says, Yas Queen, so depressing, slay. And Sean says, I wish I was Hartsy Protsy. I'm right there with you. I would trade anything to be Hartsy. Sneed wants to know, did Mason Elliott send this in? Let me know in the chat if you know who Mason Elliott is. Only the real hashtag real fans will recognize that name. Alien says, I might write a depression chamber about how much I hated that story. I missed the story. Give me a quick rundown. He made out with a trans person, and then the trans person, I guess they regretted it, and then they made up a lie that they were sexually assaulted, but then the police did not care, and the story was a big waste of time. Anyway, let's do a vote for the next one. Do we want... And I'm only going to do a vote between two, just to keep it simple. So what's next? What's next? We've got a story called, The Autistic Female Coomer, which, sounds good to me. Autistic Female Coomer. Or... My dad killed my dog, so now I fantasize about killing him and then myself. Okay. My dad killed my dog. Let's see what the people want to hear. I'll read both of them tonight, but let's see what you guys want to hear first. This autistic female Coomer, this might be one of the very, very, very few cis women who submit to the Depression Chamber. I'd say almost every single woman has been a trans woman on this show, so this will be interesting. And it looks like autistic female Coomer is winning so far. At 69%. Wow, 80 votes that fast? Fuck! You guys are quick on the trigger, huh? 107 votes? God damn, everybody's voting. No more dad murdering? Yeah, nobody's ever gonna do it. I need somebody in prison to submit a story about how they actually killed their dad. Okay, looks like a female autistic Coomer wins with 70%. So let's take a look-see. I think this might be a longer one. No, it's only 5 pages. 4 pages. Okay, we can fly through this. It's just one of the whitest kids you know, dressed as a woman. I would trade my life for Trevor Moore's life in a heartbeat. Probably the most tragic celebrity death of my lifetime. Anyway. Cis, yeah. No, I'm surprised it's a cis woman too. But maybe I'm wrong. I have not actually read this. Let's begin. The Autistic Female Coomer. Hello, Mumkey. I have been a longtime fan of your videos. I remember binging them since middle school and still do to this day. I was drawn to your content because of your edginess and stayed because of your frank personality. My neuroticism also drew me to love things that were a little fucked up. I loved watching your anime reviews, especially the one on Watamote. It resonated with me because I am a female loser, except much worse than Tomoko. How could that be? Prepare yourself, Mumkey. This story starts off normal, but ends up with me confessing every fucked up thing I like. This is not the kink chamber. Nobody gives a fuck about what you're cooming to, bitch, but okay, let's go. My obese best friend, relatable story, could get a loving boyfriend, but I had a guy cringe and tell me to stay away from him. I never had a father figure and am so desperate for male approval it's embarrassing. My dad was addicted to cocaine and tried to kill my mom. My mom called the cops on him and I got to see the broken door torn to splinters the morning after he ran. I am 1000% sure that I suffer from some sort of autism because I flap my hands uncontrollably and also make weird noises when I am nervous or excited. This makes it really hard to talk to people for long periods of time and seem normal. I have to actively suppress these habits of mine. I cannot keep friends for long because the facade usually slips and they see the real me. I have only one real friend, the obese friend mentioned before, and I am sure that the only reason she keeps me around is because I have known her since I was 10. Is somebody just writing a story about me from the perspective of a woman? Am I being trolled? I might be getting trolled right now. I lost my spot. She likely also pities me in my extreme awkwardness. She only texts me when she wants help and never asks me how I feel. I text her, but she replies hours late to everything I say. Nowadays, I only talk to her when we're in college, and she never reaches out when we're outside of the college campus. I am heavily socially stunted, but I've hidden it very well. I have this aloof attitude I've created, and I don't let anyone get close to me. I keep everything professional and don't reach out more than necessary. This makes me look functional and like a non-autist. I would rather someone hate me than pity me any day. I am unhappy now, but less unhappy than I would be facing people's pity and rejection by being my true self. The burning feeling of rejection, the feeling of people's eyes burning holes through me, is something I don't want to feel again. I have had so many males reject me and friend-zone me. Can we believe this? I don't know. From my experience, that should not be possible. But, you know, let's just keep going. Maybe I'll be convinced. As I have stated, I am a female loser and autist. In some ways, it is more lonely than being a male loser. For one, no one takes your problems seriously because you are technically still fuckable. But unfortunately, that is the only thing most people want you for. This leads to me being surrounded with people who see me as a walking fleshlight, but no one that actually wants to date me or be my friend because they actually like me. I found out I was below average in attractiveness when all the girls around me had a guy ask them out, but not a single guy ask me out in the entire 19 years I've been alive. I've even had one guy get out of his seat when I sat next to him in class, but the male Wait, what? One guy get out of his seat when I sat next to him in class? Do you fucking stink? Is that the problem? But the male rejection does not end there. Prom is gay, agreed, and I never thought I would go, and I was only proven correct, because not a single guy thought I was cute enough to even ask out. A girl with buck teeth and a lazy eye got asked out, but it's like I didn't even exist. I have asked out all of the men that I've been interested in, but unfortunately, they never like me back. I can tell immediately that at most they just want to fuck me, or that they just see me as an afterthought. I have been ghosted by guys several times. Guys that were similarly socially inept but still interesting people. So is it incorrect to say if this person really wants a boyfriend, they should just come to this chat? There are 197 viewers right now. I guarantee 190 of you are single men who would literally date anything with a vagina. So if she's that desperate, just come to the Depression Chamber chat. Any of these men would say yes. I fucking promise you. Anyway. Guys that were similarly socially inept but still interesting people. I go for guys that are 6 out of 10s just like me. Well, you said you're below average, but you're a 6 out of 10. Come the fuck on. So chat better not bitch about that hypergamy shit. I'm pronouncing that right. Everybody in chat says so true, so true, so true. Hi, baby girl. Yeah, what is she complaining about? You're not looking in the right places, girl. Anyway, I think it is important to mention that I am Mexican and 161 pounds currently, which is the largest I have ever been. I strongly believe that these factors make me less attractive to men, at least American men. Keep in mind that I am also bisexual and think all races are hot. This makes me feel like even more of a doomer with the fact that I can't find anyone. According to society, my life should be easier since I am a decent-looking female, but my life has taught me that that is far from true. Moving on to another part of my life that is less pathetic. I did have a girlfriend. She was a childhood friend that I was less close to. It didn't feel like Alabama to have sex with her. It would have with my obese friend because I see her in a more sisterly way, as gay and stupid as that sounds. I was so desperate to feel something that I let her finger fuck me behind some apartments late at night. It was dark, so hopefully no one saw us. I think our homophobic neighbors did see us make out, however. My homophobic mom literally almost tried to kill her, but didn't because she had issues with immigration already and didn't think it was worth it. She forced us to break up because she threatened to kill herself, and said I would be ashamed to the family in Mexico if they found out. People in the chat are vomiting at the thought of a 160-pound woman. Okay. I was lonely and unsatisfied even though I had a girl use a strap-on and finger fuck me. I still don't know if I was just a piece of flesh to her. At this point, I knew that I could get at least one girl to somewhat care about me and fuck me, but of course my family went crazy trying to control me and supervised everything I did. It made me apathetic and not want to wake up because I was no longer in charge of my own life. I knew I had to get a guy to want to date me by default if I wanted my family to allow me to have a dating and sex life again, which will not happen anytime soon because guys don't seem to like me. I want to eventually have sex with a guy, but I'm very cautious because I live in the hell state of Texas that hates birth control and abortions. Well, you'll never guess what just happened in the news recently. I have a high libido, which makes my sex life, makes my life even more frustrating. If I go more than one day without masturbating, I feel extremely sick and tense. My body cries in physical pain. I'm going to derail now. Okay, everybody, get ready. This chat is definitely making this viewer more comfortable about her weight. Based Texas, God bless Texas. Okay, here's where we're gonna derail, folks. So, you know, if you're gonna try to coom to this story, grab the lotion now. This is some peak puberty shit, but when I didn't want to get caught using a dildo by my mom, I used a very long and girthy bubble wand to masturbate instead. One time I used it way too hard and actually almost passed out. I think I might have given myself some internal bleeding. I was bleeding so bad, but still continued. Every sentence makes it better. I don't know how, but I guess it just healed eventually. Okay, back to me talking about guys not loving me, LOL. I wish I had birth control and could have sex with a guy that actually likes me. If I'm going to spend money on birth control, the motherfucker better actually like me. Even though I masturbate every day of the week, sometimes multiple times in the same day, I am not satisfied. I have PCOS. I don't know what that means, folks. So that must have something to do with it. PCOS basically means I have a high amount of androgen, or male hormones in my body. It also means I literally have cysts. Cysts? That's a word I cannot pronounce as a slurring retard. Cysts? That's, fuck that. In my ovaries because of these hormones. Though I could just naturally be horny. To make things worse, I feel a weird post-dildo clarity every time afterwards and feel like a Coomer female degenerate. I have a weird taste in porn, and it will only get worse until I can find a guy that can satisfy the void in my heart, in quotes. I am so lonely and in need of male attention that I am unironically considering being a stripper or a cam girl. Since I do look average and forgettable, it should not interfere with my actual career. I am studying to be a dentist. I know other women that have done sex work before their actual career, so that soothes my concerns a little. I have always been comfortable with people seeing me without clothes. When I was like 11 or some shit, my neighbor saw me without any shorts or underwear through my window, and I was not bothered by it. I feel like I should have been disturbed by it, but for whatever reason I felt nothing, not an ounce of shame or discomfort. What kind of neighbor are we talking about? One time a guy showed me a pic of Minecraft porn in an attempt to gross me out, but I just burst out laughing because it was so crudely drawn. Anyways, back to the sex work topic. Sex work seems like the only way I can get attention from men now, so it seems that is what I will do. I don't give a fuck if I am tipped or not. I have a genuine emotional need for a job like this. I'm only resistant to being an escort, but with the way things are going for me, I don't know how much longer I can reject that idea. Sex work appeals to me because if I can get my emotional needs met without the harsher ire of rejection, if a guy thinks I'm unattractive, he could simply click off my stream or something. I think sex work might even help me grow a thicker skin now that I think about it, though that is me being optimistic. I might fail and be a complete joke, but I can't say I'm not that already. I'm a sensitive person deep down, and I hate that I want love, but I also resent the fact that I have never felt loved. My horniness, however, has its limits. I can only ignore the lack of love or touch for so long. I am genuinely touch-starved. It is getting harder and harder for me to get off. I need an actual person. This illusion I am creating by using dildos in my hand is starting to wear off. My brain is less and less fooled. I can feel my serotonin receptors being fried every time I watch porn now. It's like I'm not even watching porn, it's like a regular movie. There's very little hot about it now. As you can see by this autistic rant I wrote about being a lonely Coomer female, I am at war with my sentimental side and my horny side. It's like I'm two people or some shit. I bet you'll be able to pick out inconsistencies in my thinking because I don't fully understand myself either. I think I am a bit of a hypocrite really, because I lust after men as much as they probably lust after me. I am objectifying them like they probably are as well. I have literally gone into the laundry room at my college and examined men's boxers. I have also stared at the crotches of my college professors on several occasions. I really am down bad to its purest definition, but I think I have said about everything I wanted to about my pathetic life. If you somehow got through my messed up story, I am sorry for the probable psychic damage that I caused, but I'm glad you gave this email a read. This was better than any therapy ever could be. Hey, you know what? This show is cheaper than therapy. I'll give us that. I'll give us that. Wow, up to 240 viewers. They tuned in just to hear the female Coomer story. I'm gonna catch up on the donations and then I'll see what the chat thought about our Coomer friend. Beyond Groovy said, as usual, these Depression Chamber stories are 90% extreme cringe and 10% actually very sad. Absolutely no middle ground. By the way, fuck Florian. Yeah, that's a chat I can get behind. K Keys wants to know, where can I buy your book? There should be links to it on my... If you go to the Simian Jimmy channel and you go to any video, the description should have links. Somebody told me that one of the links no longer is working, so I need to update and fix that. But I think the book should still be available to buy physically on Lulu, if you can find that link. But if it's not working, I'll try to fix it soon. Sean said, give Heartsy's number. Oh, give her Heartsy's number, yeah. Heartsy's not 18 yet, but once he gets there, maybe. What are the chats saying? Why do I see multiple mumkies? There's only one of me, so you might be tripping. I think we're all on the FBI list for that story now. Trevor Moore is a Chad? Trevor Moore was a Chad. Should have voted for the dog story. We can read that one next. I think it was like 1 page. We go bodies in Texas. Yeah, I mean, what is the solution for this woman? Maybe lose about 40 to 50 pounds and get on Tinder? That'd be my answer. Do you guys have any better advice? Reactor unironically hates the Jays. Can't say I disagree with him. Okay. I wonder what Jays could stand for. Men, don't you hate suffering from post-dildo clarity? Yeah, I know I do. The clarity saying, wow, my asshole really hurts right now. Stop eating, buy a treadmill. Good advice. Hit the gym. Take a shower. Just go to this fucking chat. Any of these people will date you. Literally any of them. Go look in my fucking Patreon Discord. It's just nothing but fucking lonely, pathetic people saying how much they want to get a GF. Every single person in there fits that criteria. It is not as hard as you're making it. If you are 168,000 pounds, you're probably not actually a 6 out of 10, so stop pursuing the 6 out of 10 men. Maybe go for the 3 out of 10s. They will be more likely to love you. Anyway, the next story, yeah, oh, this is 3 pages long, okay. Stop eating fast food, that's a good one. More snack testers with Biggs? Oh man, that's my depression chamber story. Biggs does not want to be in any videos anymore. I've tried. You know, he's moved on. I can't blame him. Yep, dog killer now. Okay, the next story. My dad killed my dog, so now I fantasize about killing him and then myself. Okay. Hi, Jimmy. This story really isn't anything too crazy, but it really all starts in 5th grade. Both my parents have never been great people, but my dad especially has always been pretty shitty. Anyway, during 5th grade, my dad decided that he hated his job and we needed to move. Before we moved, my dad had beat my brother a couple times and blamed it on the stress he had from work. We packed up our things and moved 1 state over, so it wasn't too far, but it was still very difficult for me to process. Despite this, I got over it and made some amazing friends. I held on to these friends until 8th grade when my mom decided that she wasn't happy and we needed to move again. This time we moved 1 city over and my dad didn't need to get a new job. We worked from multiple houses and finally settled down in a nice house where I went to online school for 8th grade. This was all horrible for my mental health, as at the time all I did was cheat on my assignments and played Fortnite all day. Maybe Heartsy did write this one. I gained a lot of weight and didn't interact with anyone my age for an entire year. After 8th grade, my family decided it was best for me to go to public high school, and I reluctantly agreed. It was pretty difficult for me to make friends as I was still pretty upset that I had to leave all the friends from the previous city, and I was also in a very large back brace because I have pretty severe scoliosis. Yet again though, I powered through and made an incredible friend group. I loved these guys so much and I was really happy for once. This all came to a halt when my childhood childhood dog Shadow was diagnosed with cancer, and we had to put her down a few days after her diagnosis. Okay, if that's what you mean by my dad killed my dog, then you might be a little melodramatic. But let's keep going. Maybe he gets another dog, and maybe Shovel Dog was his dog. I had Shadow since first grade, and she was always there for me through all the times we moved and all the friend groups I had cycled through. By this time, COVID was starting to go into full swing, and my mom decided yet again that she was not happy where we were. Seeing her so depressed really screwed with me, so I told my parents that I'm willing to move if that's what's best for my mom. So we moved back to where we moved from in the first place. Now my dad commutes 4 hours every week to get to work? And I don't see him Monday through Friday? Because COVID had shut down all the schools in the area, we had moved to a pretty liberal state with strict lockdown rules. My mom put me in a shitty private religious school. I really hate talking about this part because I still cringe at it, but I guess I can't change it. There was a girl there that was very religious, and I had a huge crush on her. Because of this, I went full-blown Christian too. This story is sounding more and more familiar as we go on. I think I might know this person. I went full-blown Christian too. My family is Christian, but I really never cared about it at all much growing up. I was reading my Bible all the time, going to church and youth groups, and even teaching kids my age sometimes on Sundays. This part really wasn't too cringy, but I let it become my entire personality. I started shitting on my old friends for having sex, and it really started to put a wedge between us. I was also completely convinced that I could get with a religious girl because everyone in my class told me every day how perfect we would be for each other. This entire thing came to a head when my classmates told me that I should buy flowers for her. I did and told her they were from me. And she just said thank you and seemed cool about it. She talked to me the rest of the day, so I thought things were good. Then, one of my classmates asked her about it, and she pretty much implied that she has no feelings for me at all. A couple days later, we had an assignment to write a poem and then read it in front of the class. Oh no, no, no! God, no! Uh-oh. I got a bad feeling about this one, folks. Okay. Gotta compose myself for this one. Flowers equal necklace. Muse, shut up! Me, being the cringe lord simp that I was, wrote a poem about her! Yet again, the entire class convinced me that it was a good idea and that I needed to do it. Anyways, things went pretty well after that. Oh, well, you're not gonna give us the details? At least let us read the poem, for fuck's sake! Come on! I awakened from my religion phase and realized that it just wasn't who I am, and things went well. The school year ended, and I thought life may be going my way again. Shortly after the school year, though, all my friends moved away. They were seniors, and I was a junior. So now I was left with no friends again. I hated the private school and decided to go to the local public school because it was finally reopening again. After all my friends had moved away, my mom gave me a phone call telling me she needed help with some stray dogs. I rushed down to where she was and found a litter of stray puppies that someone had just dumped near my house. They had gotten all the dogs except for one little puppy that was still trying to bite us. I scooped this puppy up and quickly took him home, and had just made a new best friend. I named him Yeezy. I'm a big Kanye fan, and I started spending all of my time with him. He was super loyal and loved me more than anything, and I loved him the same way. Now at my new school, I decided that I just wanted to get through my last year without really making friends because of how horrible my religious year had been. Throughout this year, I fixed the damage I had done, to my old friend groups, and things were good. Despite having no friends, I was happy. Every day I'd come home to my little dog. That was so amazing, and everything was good. This all changed one day after my 18th birthday when my parents decided to go out for a drink. I'm playing some computer games with my old friends and I get a call from my dad saying that there was an emergency. I ran down the driveway as fast as I could to find my dog laying in the middle of the road in my mom's arms. My parents were screaming at each other and I just kept trying to get them to calm down because Yeezy was still alive. My dad was very nonchalant about the entire thing and said that we need to go get our gun and kill him because he was going into shock and was likely not going to live. I'm guessing the dad hit him with the car, but it doesn't say that. But that's my assumption. Patchy's wife says Rutro. Mods, ban Patchy's wife. Come on now. My mom demanded that we go to the vet. She had also bonded with Yeezy over the year as well, so my dad and I drove to the vet. I sat in the back of the car with Yeezy and he was not aware of what was going on. He couldn't breathe very well and just seemed confused. Something that still really bothers me is my dad took the longest possible route to the vet, and to this day I still don't know why. Anyway, we get to the vet and he tells me that my dog has about a 20% chance of surviving through surgery. I really didn't know what to do, so through my shock and lack of thinking, I just said that we should put him down, something I will regret for the rest of my life. I rested his head on my shoulder while the vet injected him, and I felt him go limp. I cried a little bit on the drive home because it really wasn't sinking in quite yet. Another thing my dad said on the way home was, "There is an Easter Sunday service tomorrow that we need to go to." When he said that, I didn't realize how horrible it was to even suggest that we should go to church like nothing happened, but it was all set in the next day. I was torn and heartbroken that I couldn't get out of bed for like 2 days. About 2 weeks later, I was extremely depressed, sleeping all the time and not spending any time around my dad. He came into my room and asked if I was upset about something that had happened with one of the colleges that I was thinking about attending. Similar to his comment about going to church, this showed me how insensitive he really is and how little he cared that he had killed my best friend. The worst part of this story is that it's not like my dog ran out in front of my dad's car at the last moment. My mom had seen him from very far away and was aware that he was in the driveway, and my dad accelerated into him without paying attention. His death was completely unnecessary and was only a result of my dad's reckless driving. I have been telling him to slow down his entire life and drive like a normal person, and he has never listened. It also really hurts that we gave my dog's body to the vet instead of burying him at home. I was against this, but I was in such shock that I just kind of agreed with it. I now just picture his rotting corpse at our dump being slowly devoured by flies. Anyway, I fantasize all the time about shooting my dad and then maybe myself. I don't think I'll ever do it, but the want is there, and I really might consider it when I'm older. At the very least, I plan on cutting most communications with him as some sort of revenge for what he did to Yeezy. Things are going better for me now, but suicide seemed like the best option for me for 2 months after Yeezy had died, but I have moved past those thoughts. Anyway, if this story gets picked, thanks for reading it, Jimmy. Your content has helped me through a lot since I've been a fan since my online school days in 8th grade, and I kinda see you as a friend too. Okay. Yeah, you know, that's one of my weaknesses myself is, you know, pets. So, that's a rough one. Hades said, how much do I have to pay you to read my shitty story? I don't think there's a set price on it. Okay. What was the poem, though? That's what I want to know. My advice is get another dog. Yeah, you would say that as a man with no pets, Patchy. Not gonna lie, if my dad killed my dog, I'd probably catch an aggravated assault case. Yeah. What happened to the sci-fi short film contest? That is... what... Did you just not see it? I do believe it is still up on this channel. You probably just missed it, unless YouTube took it down and I didn't know. Mumkey, can you represent me in the court of law? You probably wouldn't want that, and they might not let me do it because I, you know, don't have a license for it. But if you can represent yourself in court, I don't see why I can't do it for you. Speaking of short film contests, we're actually the next one is starting in July, so I guess everybody listening to this gets a head start. Although I have not chosen the theme or the requirements yet, so I guess gather up your friends. The entire month of July you'll have to make your short film, so I guess get ready. We're gonna make them super short this time. I'm talking 3 minutes or less, so... Why are my headphones taped to my ears? What the fuck are you talking about? Is that what it looks like to you? Copy pasta, yeah. No, I don't think any court of law would convict you for murdering your dad after he kills a small puppy. I would say that puppy's value to this world, you know, his life is more important than your dad's, and retribution must be paid, you know? And I would use my personal savings account to bail you out of jail for that one. For sure. When are we doing another film contest? I literally just said that. It's starting July 1st. But yeah, you know, these pet stories are probably hitting me harder lately because my cat Isabel is, you know, she's getting up there in age and she has asthma, and she had, you know, for a couple weeks there, she was very sick. Thankfully, she's actually completely recovered. I thought she was literally going to be dead like 2 weeks ago, but now she's as good as she's ever been, so, you know, thankfully that's a bullet I've dodged, hopefully for at least another 5 years. Speaking of pets, here's one that is extremely short that I wanted to read, because I think it's a relatable story for many. This one is called, I care way too much about a ferret I saw at the pet store. This is going to be pretty short, and I don't care if it's anonymous. This isn't nearly as bad as some of the other stories, but I need to get this off of my chest because it's been messing with me for a while. A month or two ago, I walked into Petco to get food for my dog. I was strolling around when I saw this little ferret in a glass cage. He was so cute, and as I kneeled down to look, he came right up to the glass and looked at me. He was just the cutest little ferret guy, but I knew I couldn't get him. He was over $300, and I have a Jack Russell Terrier that would kill it. I left after a few seconds and bought the dog food and left. I think about this ferret all the time. I think about if the ferret is going to die alone or if he's ever going to have a loving family. He's just a little ferret all by himself in a cage at Petco. He sees people walk by him every day. I don't know if Petco mistreats the animals they have. I don't know if he will ever go to a home. But if he does, will it be a good home? I was just another person walking by that didn't adopt him. I'll never be able to either. I don't want this ferret to die alone and scared. This is really stupid compared to the real depression stories that you get, and I look like a crybaby whining about a ferret I saw. I'm sorry you had to read this, and thanks if you did read it. Yeah, no, I wanted to read that one because that is hashtag relatable, for sure. I think the saddest I've been maybe in my whole life, believe it or not, and I've had a lot of sad moments, was actually when I met my cat, Isabel. I went to the local animal shelter, and just being in the small room that has like 30 or 40 cats in it, each in their own tiny little cubicle that, you know, they can barely stand up and walk around in, and hearing them all like crying and meowing, I had to get out of that room. Like, Isabel is so lucky that I could not handle being in there, because I basically like walked up to her and said, okay, that one's fine. Let's go. You know, I could not be in there any longer, so. Yeah. I guess I might be the type of sociopath that gets more upset about animals than humans, I guess, but, you know. I don't know. The pets are doing good. I got a third cat recently, went to a different shelter this time, and we got an eight-month-old, I guess technically still a kitten, and she's been doing great. One Piece is literally about the J's who control the world. Well, hopefully the D's can overthrow the J's. Animals deserve more sympathy than any human ever could. If that makes me a sociopath, then I guess I am one. Side note, ferrets are super expensive nowadays. My friend has two, and he said they're getting more expensive. Mako donated to say, becoming a Christian for women is extreme cringe. How about having sincere faith? Zoomer men are so infuriating. If I recall, you're married, so what the fuck do you care? You already got your trad husband. Mumkey getting one cat is a slippery slope. I have 3, and I think that's the right number. And thankfully, Blaze and the new cat instantly became best friends, and they will literally sit on the same chair and cuddle each other while sleeping, which is, you know, it's so cute that I might as well gouge my eyes out, to be honest. And I'm glad Blaze got a friend, because Isabel is too old to play with him like that. TikTok made ferrets expensive. When did I get the third cat? Like 2 months ago, I believe. 3 turns into 10. No, weekend warrior. I'm not gonna become a crazy cat lady. 3 is literally all I can afford. These motherfuckers go through food so quick now. No, I think 3 cats is the right amount. It's the right balance. The new cat, the name, I actually have been struggling to come up with one. They called her Tilly at the shelter, so I've been calling her Big T. So maybe her name is Big T. Epic Sax is a member. Hey, how come I don't see more members in this chat? Come on, measly few. Become a channel member. The most blackpilling moment when the cats have a better love life than any of us. Yeah. Okay, I think the next one I had is the longest by far. It might be longer than the rest of the stories we did today put together, so it might be the last one we do. This bad boy is 14 pages long. Name her Lin Lin like Big Mom. Big T is better than Tilly. I agree. I think Big T is a suitable name. And of course, it's an ironic name because she's very small. But you know how that goes. Just fill their bowl once a week. Well, now that I have 3 cats, I just have the gravity feeder, so they can, graze at their kibble as they please. 14 pages sounds epic. Let's hope so. I have not read this all the way through. Let's see what Dweembox wanted to say before I start reading. I can't tell if your community is just joking or if they're legitimately anti-Semitic. Well, I'm certainly not. So anybody being in such a way in my chat is not representative of me or the community I wish to have. Let's just put it that way. I just assume when I see somebody being racist or whatever that it's all in good fun, because jokes are funny. But we did have to ban somebody from our Discord for being an unironic racist, so, you know. Anyway. This 14-page story is called Pedantic Trauma Dump Autobiography. I like the title. Introduction, and this is really formatted like some sort of APA-style essay with, you know, bold words for each section, so, you know, I like the formatting. This person actually put in the time to do paragraphs, which is more than I can say for basically every other story. A reactor unironically hates Jewish people? I mean, has he said that before? I don't know if he actually means that. Weekend Warrior says, holy crap. I don't even know what that's about. Oh, footnotes and citations? No, just the formatting of it. But, okay, here we go. Pedantic Trauma Dump Autobiography. Introduction. This is a very non-linear autobiography written to account all the shit life has thrown at me so far. I'm 19 years old as of writing. I work as a gigging musician and it's very fulfilling. I also pump iron so I seem more healthy and well-adjusted than I actually am. Currently, I'm doing fine mentally, but what you're about to read may imply the opposite. I'm going to start off with relatively small nuisances and work my way up to more hurtful memories. Anxiety. Thought I'd put this here since it's the most debilitating problem I'm currently dealing with. I have anxiety, I'm not sure what kind, because when I went to the doctor, he basically just gave me drugs and told me to fuck off. If I were to guess from the tests, I may have some type of panic disorder and/or agoraphobia. My panic attacks are triggered by random things, such as eating out or dining in any place that I don't find comfortable. Emotional distress, i.e. loss of a loved one, stressors like university or shitty lifestyle choices, alcohol consumption on the rare instances that I indulge. A lot of times they occur when I'm about to sleep or wake me up in the middle of the night. When it comes to symptoms, I often get intense nausea, so much so I don't want to move or else I'm afraid I'll puke. I get tachycardia, might be saying that wrong. Heart rate often goes up to 120 to 140 beats per minute when my resting BPM is in the low 60s. My chest tightens up and I get heartburn, I feel dizzy, lightheaded, and weak, and often I tremble relentlessly. Thoughts in my head are more of a visceral, guttural fear, sensory overload, and OCD-like thought where I obsessively hyperfocus on some random thing. Nausea is the only consistent appearer. The other symptoms come and go at different attacks. When it's tame, I can usually tough it out in like 10 minutes, but other times I'm out of commission for an entire day. Nearly catatonic as I'm afraid to move. The symptoms used to be very minute. I noticed I would often feel sick whenever I'd eat out, but would instantly feel better the second I got home. For a week stretch in November 2021, I would just wake up after only a couple hours of sleep and have severe panic attacks until the sun rose. I caved in and told my mama something was up with me, something I never do, and voila, you got a misanthropic, agoraphobe, incel villain. That being said, anxiety sucks, but with meds and lifestyle changes, I make it bearable. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of my life. Hell, maybe it might be therapeutic. Birth. My biological mom was going through some heavy shit when she was pregnant with me. If I was born with a libtard 21st century Californian they-them mother, she'd probably abort me. Well, I was going to say not anymore, but that's always going to be legal in California. I love my mother dearly for enduring all the cruelty she went through without turning to drugs or alcohol or abortion or any other thing like that. She held out for me. I rarely met my biological father. I knew his name, I saw him at a couple funerals, but only got to properly converse with him once or twice. He was never present in my upbringing. Fatherless LMAO plus divorce LOLOL. As I mentioned previously, I never got to know my biological father at any kind of level. Hell, I don't even remember his face. Growing up, I don't think I really had a father figure to really guide me. I grew up with adopted parents, but they divorced when I was 5 years old. My adoptive father, Leroy, ended up just skipping town and leaving us by our lonesome, so my mother left the house she and Leroy lived in to go to the city and live with her parents. She, my 2 brothers, and myself had to squeeze all into one bed because there wasn't enough room to spare, as my grandparents were housing more people in their home as well. I could say my grandfather Vincent, good name, was a father figure, but I never saw him as anything but a nuisance. I never liked him. I hate him. I loathe him. More on him in a moment. Leroy has since become quite a cool father figure, all things considered. My brothers and I go to his place every 2 weeks for a weekend, and it's all good. He bends over backwards to help us and is honestly the most trustworthy parental figure in my life right now. I remember it sucking for the first few years because there was jack shit to do at his place. Also, I didn't click with him for the longest time because this was because my mom and Leroy's weekend custody undertaking became regular business in the prime of School Shooter arc and 2017 arc, and those are bolded, so I assume those are upcoming arcs we get to go through, where I was extremely moody and basically just being a bitch. For those aforementioned arcs, I was a lazy shut-in who hated being told to do things, and my father is a good old sociable workaholic mechanic. The only hang-up I have regarding the divorce is the people my mom and dad have dated since their split, namely my dad's girlfriend. She is a cool, capable woman who I can converse with pretty well, but man does she suck out the fun. When she's around, it's like she's sucking the soul out of my father. Hey, don't knock it till you try it, kids. With a bunch of pointless regulations. Yoko Ono tier shit. You can see it in his face, too. A specific instance I can recall with her being a soul-sucking succubi is one of her grandchildren from a previous dude was touching up my base? Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I politely told him not to touch it, as I don't want him to break or damage it because, admittedly, I placed it in a precarious position. She overheard me saying this to him and didn't do anything about it and gave no signs of being slighted. Later, my dad came downstairs to lambaste me because I was being disrespectful by giving the kid some shit, which I wasn't. I was courteous. And I was forced to apologize to Yoko Ono. Not the kid I allegedly gave shit, but Yoko Ono. I go upstairs and sheepishly apologize, and then she simply says, "Oh, haha, don't worry, it's no big deal." Then why the fuck did you use my dad as a proxy to chastise me for a perceived slight if it wasn't such a big fucking deal? Other than her, living with my dad is smooth sailing. Just wanted to air that out because Yoko Ono is a segue into another topic. Mommy issues. My mom does not like Yoko Ono for obvious reasons. She boinked Leroy, LOL. I remember her telling me if Yoko Ono tried to order me around as if I was her kid. You should have just said Sumaya. I think Sumaya would have fit better. As if I was her kid, then I should tell mother about it. The instance of her blatantly using my dad as a proxy just to get at me for some stupid reason pissed me the fuck off. I was infuriated. Why is this woman being such a killjoy? I was seriously considering just telling my mother about it and not seeing my father again because I know one thing for sure. If my mom doesn't like you, she can very easily be petty for a long fucking time. My biological mother and I see sporadically, and I have no complaints about her. I still live with my adoptive mother, Lena, and is also one I have few complaints about. She is a net positive, and to be honest, I'm basically just detailing all the bullshit I gotta deal with regarding her. Lena can be quite troublesome to talk to. When it's a minor slight, she's annoying, but when it's a major fuck-up, it's heartbreaking. For starters, she can be very ignorant regarding mental health. She works in a university and is always parading out mental health virtue signaling bullshit, but her actions at home are kind of the opposite of that. There's a couple of examples. For starters, Nolan has had moderate to severe anxiety since he was a little kid, and he'd often break down crying and trying to make himself throw up in the mornings. My mom used to just get pissed off and yell at him and tell him shit like to suck it up. She wasn't consoling him, but outright getting mad at him. That shit, even as a child, made me wordlessly incandescent. Nolan's suffering from a condition that makes day-to-day living extremely difficult, and it's seen as him being annoying and problematic. I'd always try to console him, and she'd do shit like that to him in the elementary days. She finally got sensible and stopped screaming at him after a couple years of this. Not only did she scream and get hostile towards someone mid-panic attack, she tries her damnedest to have complete control of your med use. I'm a fucking unicorn. I say this because I've been using benzos long-term and have not devolved into a dependent junkie. What I can say throughout my duration of this prescription, however, is that my mom has tried to do several things to control my usage. She seized my pills and temporarily forced me to request them during panic attacks. She implied I'm a junkie for using them and trying to get refills. She tried getting me to hold off on taking them for as long as possible, and is currently trying to get my doctor to switch my prescription to daily SSRIs and fry up my brain even more. Lena also interrogates you if she suspects you're not all sunshine and rainbows. Nolan, my youngest household brother, Finn, and myself just want to grieve or sulk in peace, and if we want to express our problems to someone, we will on our own accord. My mother doesn't respect this philosophy and often brute forces her way via relentless inquisition. She'll ask you endlessly and aggressively about what's bothering you, to the point where the real problem is that Lena isn't allowing us to cope or heal properly. It gets so bad she's done this entire shebang even when I'm feeling fine and no problems are prevalent. Those last paragraphs pedantically explain Mama's incompetency at empathizing with mental health. I say this because she herself has anxiety. Why does she do all this shit? It ties into herself. She is narcissistic and has a very fragile ego. As a child, I used to be under her total control, and I'd bend backwards, sucking up to her, trying to appease my wrongdoings. But when I got into my later teens, I've butted heads with her and not apologized. She often misconstrues words and creates unnecessary, overdramatic conflicts that fizzle out, because I guess even she realizes they're stupid. For example, she acts extremely temperamental during her birthday and Mother's Day and acts like she's entitled to some type of gift. One year leading up to it, I asked if I could go dine on Sunday morning with some friends. The date happened to occur on the same date as Mother's Day. She says no and gets visibly angered, so I table my plans because it was an honest mistake. The next day, she comes to my door and talks to me regarding the Mother's Day diner mix-up. I make a shitty joke saying, "You're a Mother's Day person?" The joke is that she's a mother, of course, she's a Mother's Day person, but she perceives this as a slight, gets mad at me, and storms off. Finn saw this happen and was just as confused about it as I was. This Mother's Day, I woke up after 3 hours of sleep, got ready as quickly as I possibly could, and was just trying to survive and go to church for Sunday service. When I get home, I lay on my bed and try to get a quick nap to recharge my batteries. Mom barges in and is mad because I seem to hate the day, which I did, but at this moment in time I did not, and also I didn't wish her or Laura a happy Mother's Day. She slams my bedroom door and it hurts me because I literally thought this was going to be the 1 year shit wasn't gonna hit the fan. Fortunately, I vented to my dad Leroy and he helped me save the day by buying her some last-minute gifts. The most hurtful thing, however, was many moons ago. I was a newbie at guitar, and I was too anxious to perform a song to her for one of her birthdays. But I promised her I'd do it as soon as I worked up the courage. She smiles at me in a sadistic way and says, "I love you, regardless," as she tucks me in. That shit fucked me up because I was just a little kid. That shit was comparable to something to the tune of "I loved you," which saying "you hate me" would have been less hurtful. She is also extremely nosy. As mentioned previously, she just has to know what you're going through every waking day. I used to have journals and diaries, but since shelved them because she read through a personal paper I wrote and grounded me because of saying a swear word in the paper. It wasn't even anything too graphic. I censored out "fuck" with stars and just said something like, "I'm fucking bored, bye." There's other shit too, but this portion is already a long-winded diatribe. Mama can be very hurtful and annoying. What I want to conclude with is that she's stubborn as hell too. When I butt heads with her, I can only really back down begrudgingly because she just doesn't quit. My grandfather, Vincent, always says this whenever they quarrel. "I always have to walk eggshells around you." Speaking of, leather-skinned reptilian pseudo-liberal fuckhead and his pushover wife. When you're a First Nations kid, is that the New Age way of saying Native American, or is that like a Canadian thing? I don't know. Somebody let me know. When you're a First Nations kid, it's often embedded in you that white man equal bad. Well, I think even white men are taught that in schools today, so it's not just a First Nations thing. This is literally my mom. Cole, why'd you have to expose that you wrote this story? I thought we were keeping this anonymous. Conservatives around my neck of the woods are usually just good old white farmers, so the impression given sticks. Liberals are diverse and are the only party besides NDP. Okay, Baron von Brunk says Native Americans from Canada. Thank you. Willing to virtue signal the First Nations peoples that they'll do so much stuff for them, only to not fulfill any promises and worry about more pressing matters like restricting Canadian YouTube or implementing some other bullshit. A lot of First Nations are either liberal or NDP because of it, and that's because white man equal bad and conservatives equal white men. The faux political bullshit rant is a precursor to the old fuck I live with. My grandfather is a failed politician formerly of the Liberal Party. What are politicians good at? Lying, arguing, being stubborn, and hiding skeletons in your closet. That's right! That's fucking right! God damn it, that's right. Vincent fits all these descriptors to a T. He's also a liberal. What a surprise! Come on. Vincent the atheist, a liberal? I think not, good sir. I think not. Vincent is a communal messiah, and bad-mouthing his pristine name is sacrilege, but I have to get this out. This guy is a fucking asshole, to say the least. Leather-skinned, skeleton, piece of shit fuck. If my life were a narrative, he's probably an emblematic caricature of every major detriment of my life, and everything I hate in a person. He's a bully. He's stubborn. Our relationship is unequal and one-sided. He lacks transparency. Being around him gives me anxiety, and he's a sex-craved pervert. And you're saying he was a liberal politician? Huh. To be fair, as far as I know, all those descriptors apply to any Canadian person, so, who am I to judge? Not sure where to start with this, but I suppose I'll just air everything off my chest. My mom never got a house on her own, at least as of writing, and has shacked up with my grandparents. Having been living with them in the same house since I was like 5 years old, the grandparents, the rest of my family sees once in a while, gets really annoying if you see them every day for 14 plus years. While grandmother Laura was annoying and a passive nuisance, such as having a fucking aggravating shrill voice she'd constantly yell with and always smoking, Vincent is such an active annoying piece of shit. My brothers and I go to great lengths in order to talk to him as little as possible. Why? You're forced to talk to him all the time. He asks you a bunch of questions and forces you into a prompt that he orchestrates. He controls the conversation. You cannot ignore him, for if you do, you're just disrespecting him. You're being rude. You have to follow his every response, and if you don't like it, then suck it up. Because if Vincent doesn't get what he wants, then you're being disrespectful. He treats you like an infant, but the second you show any defiance, you're treated as a bum leech guy who isn't mature enough. Well, no shit, I'm not mature enough. I'm being infantilized every day in my own damn house. Our home. It's not his house, of course. You can't have a normal conversation with him, as he controls what you say and what to say in response. I remember my nephew, technically a cousin once removed, was at my house and he said, "It's so good to see my family out here in the living room." Well, the only reason anyone is here is because of the nephew. You're the reason everyone stays in their rooms all the time. You make people uncomfortable. When it comes to my brothers or a fringe interaction between a cousin or two, their voices always go bassy and sound disinterested and monotone. I feel like I'm not the only one tired of his annoying and uncomfortable conversational skills. This doesn't stem from autism or neurodivergence, but from outright megalomania on Vincent's end. The one time I actively rebelled against his baby-ass prompts, he took it to heart, and my uncle had to step in to give me shit because he doesn't want to get mad in front of other people. Don't tarnish the communal messiah. All I did was deliberately ignore him when he initiated stupid prompts, and he held that grudge until a specific incident. In early 2019, I was confronted by Vincent regarding my little defiant streak. He asked me to bring up a water jug cooler from the basement. I said I'd do it, but I suppose he wanted it done right away. I forgot to mention he's an impatient motherfucker who wants everything done ASAP. He loses patience and does the job himself. Out of breath, he tells me he's not happy with my recent string of mischievous acts. I look at him in disgust and return to my room. My mom stands up for me by saying, "You did say to go get it, plus it was only like a minute or two since you asked him." Since they're so stubborn, they end up in a screaming match where it becomes more than just perceived slights, but digging up random shit to sully each other's names. It got so bad I ended up leaving the house for the night because I was worried for my safety. This wasn't the first time Vincent or Lena butted heads. They always go to extreme levels and they always repeat the same shit. How Lena is sensitive and how everyone does everything for her. And Vincent being a licentious bastard whose reputation isn't earned. I was too afraid to ever fully confront him because he has the power to just kick me out of the house now, so I tolerate living with him. He's also a full-on Coomer! More Coomer stories today. I keep overhearing accounts saying he's an unfaithful husband and has cheated on grandmother Laura multiple times. She sticks around because I guess silent generation isn't accustomed to feminism or divorce yet. What do you mean yet? I don't think it's ever gonna happen. I always remember growing up with him making inappropriate sexual jokes to me and my brothers, and would either derive joy or show bitterness towards our disgust at those jokes. Whenever I'd bring a girl home for supper, he'd always just barrage her with jokes and creepy advances. It goes for all other girlfriends my cousins would bring to the gatherings, but to a lesser extent because I see that fucker every day. When we'd get out of the shower, he used to ask, "Did you wash your balls/ass?" and would always turn from his chair to look at whoever just got out of the shower, hopefully to see a nipple, I guess. When we drive around and there's any type of woman who is moderately attractive, he always averts his gaze from the road to look at them. He even remarks at himself, trying to laugh it off as general mischief, when in reality, it's creepy. I also catch him watching borderline porn a lot too. It ranges from chicks in bikinis to fat smut. He never watches anything too graphic since it's just regulated to YouTube. I even got into shit for his Coomerness one time because we used to have an office computer and I used the PC after he did. My mom was nosy and checked the history and confronted me for looking at inappropriate shit. I acted disgusted and like I didn't know anything because I was just trying not to get into trouble. The sexual deviancy doesn't end. And the next section is titled Sexual Misconduct. Weekend Warriors just says, "What the fuck?" Based politician, I think I'm in the wrong profession. Weekend Warrior, did you wash your balls? I think that's important to note. Let me know in the chat. Sexual misconduct. When I was a kid and I went to the living room with Vincent sitting on his recliner, he'd often leap out, grab me, and grapple me. He was trying to force me to sit on his lap. This sounds heinous. Yeah, you're telling me. And most of the time, I sincerely did not want to do this charade. It was relatively innocuous, but given his history of salacious behavior, it's something worth noting. Weekend Warrior says, "Of course I wash my balls. I'm proud of you. You better use Manscaped on those balls." During the summer of 2019, I was called to supper. Vincent and I crossed paths in the hallway. It's pretty narrow and I'm a bigger lad, so I try to scooch by. My first mistake was not protecting my ass at all costs. He leers at me, smiles, and spanks me. I was frozen and filled with anger and fear. I wanted to burst out and attack him, but I just couldn't. I couldn't muster anything out, and I couldn't move. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to club my fists into his soggy flesh and skull until he was nothing but a red and pink muddled mush. I wanted him to look like the aftermath of a Mexican cartel video. But in that split second, I froze, and instead of fighting or confronting this issue, I shut down and pretended everything was normal at supper time. I wanted to tell Mom after supper, but I didn't. I wanted to tell my dad the next time I saw him, but I didn't. I wanted to tell anybody that this had happened to me, but I didn't. Until now, under anonymity. So we are the first and only people to hear about this, folks. I let him get away with sexual harassment. It was my fault I didn't stop this sex-craved prison gay fuckhead. The thing that fucks me up the most is that what am I supposed to do about it now? If I were to levy allegations against him, then there seems to be no point. I've seen actual rape victims get zero traction or justice with opening up about their rapists. How is getting spanked and ogled 3 years ago gonna create sympathy? Any outrage? I just bottled it up and tried the best I could to move on, because honestly, despite being the victim of incestuous harassment, this wasn't even the worst sexual mess I've been a victim of. When I was about 5, I had just moved to my grandparents' house. I lived with a cousin around the same age. I've repressed these memories very heavily, but I remember him giving me a blowjob and it becoming a regular habit between us. This affair occurred multiple times. This degeneracy stopped after my mother walked in on us about to do it once more. We got interrogated by my uncle, grandmother Laura, and my mom. At least Vincent didn't have a say in that whole fucking mess. I'm leaving it at that because I don't want to stay on that for too long. The next couple were from women and not relatives I knew. I had a babysitter who would often kiss me or grapple with me, and one time getting me to join her in bed while she and her boyfriend made out. This was the only instance where I did not feel fully violated. God, I wish that were me, am I right? Ha 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 ha. On the other hand, I was in grade 9 when this specific instance happened. It was a school dance for Halloween, and I was just having fun and dancing and trying to be the life of the party. Throughout the night, I was often groped and touched inappropriately by a chick in our class. What made me uncomfortable was the fact it was a childhood friend who I've known since elementary, and the fact she wouldn't let go until I had to use my physicality to get her to stop. She always just used to grab me and touch me for no reason. Another thing that ticked me off was that she and I would often get shipped together. Haha, yeah, she gropes him all the time and they're such a compatible couple. She apologized for the misconduct and blamed it on a panic attack. Make of that what you will. Another instance, which I personally think is funny, but it's fucked up, was me being invited into a Skype group chat. I had friends on Steam who invited me to it because I was active in community servers and we were decently acquainted online friends. I knew jack shit when it came to operating Skype and was logged out for a considerable amount of time. I had only discovered they invited me to this peculiar group chat a few months afterwards. But I log in and notice these guys were all sharing fat, gay, furry porn with each other. These guys had invited some random minor into some porn-sharing group chat. It's safe to say I haven't touched Skype since. Well, if you think Skype is bad, do not go on Discord. Gal is Lord in the chat says I'm dead of laughter. At what fucking part? The sexual harassment story made you die of laughter? Can we please skip this story? No. No, we cannot. We're getting close. We're on page 11 out of 14. The next section is called Quasi-Closeted Half-Fag. There's a lot of baggage when it comes to being bisexual, at least for me. Around the time of puberty, I noticed I started getting the hots for guys as well as girls. Being with women was just embedded within my head because that's what was standard. But this attraction to guys came out of left field and I couldn't shake it. It wasn't to any normal masculine people, but rather effeminate, girly types of dudes. Inversely, I grew attached to more mature, older chicks. This dichotomy I've speculated about for a long time, but my explanation for this was that mommy issues are what caused my attraction to women, and being bullied made me arbor macho dominance in other guys. Abhor macho dominance in other guys. I had repressed the degenerate affair I had as a literal toddler, but when the memories came back, my hang-ups about dating dudes just increased by a shit ton. Dating dudes isn't even much of an option. I live in a place where it's just good old far-right farmers and macho urban gangsters, none of whom are particularly accepting of any LGBT people. Hell, even my closest friend group consists mostly of homophobes. The most lenient guy is just reluctant tolerance, while everyone else has shit ranging from being disappointed in a gay son to outright conspiracy to commit hate crimes on gay people, and that's a black Muslim, lol. Fortunately for me, I'm 6 feet and a scary brick shithouse, as well as pretty discreet about my sexual preferences, so they never bother me about it. I guess if they ogled me and spanked me, I'd probably crumble, but that's life, lol. When it comes to the more straight side of things, I believe I have an unhealthy view of women. Most women I've met online have been cordial, but in the flesh they all have an ulterior motive for being in a relationship with me. I know this because all my relationships start out this way. They make the first moves, and I'm the one who asks them out. They get bored of me. They leave. It kind of ruined my perception of love, especially my first relationship. We'll get to that in a bit. This rings true for a lot of other things, but I feel like I don't belong. I dislike a lot of movements, LGBTQ+ advocate towards, but don't dislike or disdain any LGBT people simply because they're LGBT. Nothing to say other than I don't feel like I'm normal enough to relate to straight homies, but I'm not fruity enough to be with those LGBT homies. The most homophobic people I know are the only ones who I know swing both ways. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a self-hatred thing going on there. Okay, here's what you're all waiting for. This is why we're not skipping it. Because this section is called School Shooter Arc. The School Shooter Arc. To fit with this lack of identity and lack of fit with other groups, here is my school shooter arc. During grade 6, I noticed the class started to segregate and become a social hierarchy. Instead of everyone knowing everyone and people being friends with those they clicked with the most, there were more superficial things like how autistic you were, what clothes you wear, how many relationships have you been in, etc. Dumb kid requirements, but the fact people I saw as contemporaries view me as beneath them rubbed me the wrong way. There were popular kids, and I couldn't talk to former friends because they chose to be within that group. The losers were socially inept and a lot of times were total pushovers to bullies. I was their de facto leader and thus a sacrificial lamb to dumb meatheads and whatnot. I felt like I could be more though. I felt I had the potential to be super sociable because I loved talking to people. I was the class clown. I used to be a shut-in, but only because I didn't have much means of going out and socializing. Not to mention, I was bullied a lot. In kindergarten, I regularly got into fistfights with this kid named Jackson. In grade 1, I got into fistfights with kids a grade above me, with Jackson having my back tag team style, a real Vegeta moment there with Jackson. Throughout grades 2 to 6, I had him as a best friend, and he was a shit best friend. I felt like I was being used for all my shit I had at my house, as we never hung out by his place, and he'd bully his way into getting what he wanted out of me, but this time under the guise of being a friend. I disliked him for a long time and only stuck around because I was too afraid to tell anyone about it or stick up to him. He finally fucked off around grade 7. I think he got suspended from the school or something. He wasn't the only guy I had to deal with, however. A fucker named Chase would often bully me in grade 6. Sometimes I hung out with his ragtag group and his 2 other friends were chummy with me. But Chase was the only one who took out his frustrations on me. At one point, he stomped on my head while I was laying on the ground. Dude had 100 pounds on me and 4 to 6 inches of height. Also, he took Taekwondo classes, so my shit would have gotten fucked if he wasn't messing around. Another one was a guy named Corin. He would harass me when I walked home. I remember he and his friends pointing a knife at me as a joke. One time he kept pointing me with a knife, or with a stick, and I had enough of his shenanigans. I pushed him to a fence and started raining down a barrage of punches. He was taller, older, and probably heavier, and he didn't fight back, but that conflict felt liberating. I finally stood up for myself. This is what kicked off the peak school shooter within me. There was a kid named Bryce who flicked my titties, put me in headlocks, and was generally annoying, but he eased off when he befriended me. I saw him cry because his parents divorced and I thought it was funny. But before that, I hated his guts. At this point, I hated my home life, I hated school especially, and felt my life was going nowhere. I got so desperate for any semblance of venting, I trauma dumped, LOL zoomy buzzword, to a random Steam friend I made. As I mentioned previously, the people I befriended were fat, furry, gay, fetishistic weirdos and little kids. I did not belong anywhere, even in the online realm. I was so out of place and tired with the world, I wanted to do one thing. I brought a kitchen knife from home and put it in my backpack. We had lockers in the classroom, so I'd unsheath it and surprise stab Bryce a bunch of times. Long story short, I pussied out. That's not even a school shooter arc. That's a school knifer arc. At least fucking put it correctly in the damn story, getting our hopes up for nothing. This was on the upswing of our peculiar bond. It wouldn't last long because I got cucked when my ex and him kissed in my own house. Incel rage within me sparked up. 2017 arc. Like the worst Depression Chamber story ever told, I got one-itis for a mid-bitch who didn't love me. It was an ugly affair. We only saw each other for 2 weeks before she called off the relationship due to mental health struggles. I was heartbroken, pushy, and downright manipulative. I think I went batshit insane too. I repressed a lot of memories, but I remember making up crazy lies but actually believing them, i.e. pretending I was gonna die to a botched leg surgery so I could get sympathy relationship or some shit I don't fucking know. She still liked me somewhat because whenever there was a chance I moved on, she got upset and would often toy with my emotions, such as leading me on, unfairly testing my love for her, and again getting fucking cucked. The quasi-relationship ended around March. There's a lot of melodrama that occurred here, but I might even make a second post because there's so much shit to talk about. Novel of bullshit into a couple sentences. I made a friend who was manipulative and is probably a present-day Discord groomer, mostly joking. He had an online relationship that caused a lot of drama, he and I, and his online GF formed a friend group that I'm still part of to this day. They both aren't anymore. 2017 was a year of lots of trials and tribulations and just personal growth. There's a lot of details to make for a second Depression Chamber story, but I don't think it's necessary. Basically because I'm shit-faced right now and want to go to bed. Outro, time is vengeance. I'm so cucked most of my conflicts are getting vengeance with the passage of time. Shithead Vincent has a lung condition and I have the luxury of watching him lose his breath every day. It's invigorating seeing him wither into skin and bones. Most of the bullies are junkies and druggies and criminals with far shittier lives than I currently have, and my father and I's relationship has mended with time, and now he's the tightest parental figure I have. Moral of the story? I dunno. Wait it out and it will get better. Despite my anxiety, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Just wanted to air out my dirty laundry. Thanks, Mumkey. Well, there we go. That's the long story of the night. And that will probably be the final story of the night, because I like to go 2 hours or less, and we've only got 15 minutes until that, so probably not enough time for another big story, but I will hang out with the chat for a little bit. I also do really have to pee from drinking all this tea. No Occurrence donated to say, thanks for doing another Depression Chamber. I hope you're able to keep a regular schedule. These mean so much to me, dude. Been a fan for a long time. Yeah, I think I'll probably, keep them going. Mako Horror Show donated to say, not married, Mumkey, just joining the Femcel Rebellion. I thought you were married, Mako. And Mako donated again to say, I like Sumaya more than Elliot's real mom. She actually tried to get him out of World of Warcraft and go outside. Elliot's mom spoiled and manipulated him. Yeah, but that's what he wanted. He wanted to be a spoiled brat. Flowey, let's hear what he has to say. He's the expert here. I think he seems to be doing well and are having a good laugh about how his enemies all got screwed. Not much advice to give, but this seemed to be therapeutic. Yeah, I think, you know, some of these stories help the writer more than they entertain us, which might be okay. You should try to do a Tim Pool IRL visit. I've already met Tim Pool IRL. We met at the Freedom Tower in New York, and then we went to a bar together, and Tim Pool got Asterios kicked out of the bar because Asterios got so mad he started screaming at Tim and Reactor, and the bartender kicked him out. So, yeah, I've met Tim Pool. Turkey Tom had a rough life. Well, hopefully he's doing better now. On the roll with the uploads? Yeah, I'm trying. I'm really trying. I feel bad for all those months that I, only posted, like, Is It Kino and stuff. So I'm trying to give people more diverse content to enjoy. Did we figure out how old the author was? I think he said he was 19. Mumkey, you should start an incel, femcel dating site to get these folks together. That's what this fucking chat is supposed to be. That's what my Discord community is supposed to be. Who is shorter, me or Tim? I'm pretty sure I'm shorter. I don't remember Tim being all that short. How many stories are in my inbox? 353. 350 fucking 3. Do I play any Vidya? Well, yesterday I played Ballfrog, and I did not like it. But this last week I played the new Ratchet and Clank game, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. But yeah, I think it's pretty common in Native American communities for there to be a lot of incestual molesting, so I am not surprised that Grandpa Vincent is doing that. Although, I'm not sure if Vincent was like his actual grandpa or adopted. The story got a little muddled at times, but yeah, it's fucked up. And I would also, if I was you, I would be enjoying every moment of, watching lung cancer eat that man alive. That's gotta feel good. Did Florian break up with you for not liking his game? No, actually, I was gonna bring this up on the podcast, but I'll just say it now. Video Game Donkey gives Ballfrog a shout out. 4 million views translates into 5 copies sold. Literally 5. I stream Ballfrog and I shit on it and say it sucks. According to Florian, right after that stream, 30 copies sold. I am 6 times better than Video Game Donkey. Mathematically proven. So, I don't know why 30 of you bought that fucking game, but I'm happy for Florian. I think we doubled his total sales in one day. Mumkey, please read better stories. What the fuck do you want me to do? I can't just magically know which ones you're gonna like. How about you, you can go through all 350 submissions, read every single one in advance, and let me know which ones I should read, Twizzy, please. Florian didn't finish Squid Game yet. He said he's probably not going to finish that for like a decade. I was going to buy Ballfrog after watching that stream, but I misclicked and bought Hypnospace Outlaw instead. That math checks out, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap this up. So thank you to the 200 some odd people who tuned in live to this Depression Chamber. And we'll be right back here next week with even more great stories. Yeah, imagine pre-screening. Yeah, what am I gonna fucking waste my whole life reading this shit? It's more fun when we have to wade through the horrible garbage, you know? Who didn't enjoy that first story where the grammar was so bad that reading it phonetically made me sound like I was in a mental institution? I will give me the Gmail password. Yeah, speaking of which, if you would like to submit your own stories to the Depression Chamber, it's very simple. TheDepressionChamber@gmail.com. Could not be any easier. Flowery, yes, you were a good mod today. Randy, thanks for tuning in, Randy. I'm gonna make you a mod. I don't know why Randy's not a mod. He's the most wild horse out there. Randy, if you ever want to, type up a story, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about all your greatest hits on the podcast, but, if you want to submit a story, I'll read that one for sure. And everybody, I think that's it. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Double thank you to the people who donated, Mako and the rest. You make this show actually worth doing, and I will see you soon. Expect to see this Tuesday, an episode of Is It Kino featuring Weekend Warrior and myself and Florian. Will be coming out. It's one of the more fun and funny episodes we've done lately, so look forward to that. And I'm gonna go take a big piss.